January 26th, almost Tuesday, January 27th. I'm running out of my days here that I'm having where I'm just not knowing what's going on. Kind of a busy time of the year. But we're here today, joined by only Maddie. LD is sadly grieving. He's grieving the loss of his dearly beloved Rams, who lost in the Super Bowl yesterday. Or not in the Super Bowl. They didn't make the Super Bowl, losers. But they did lose in the game before the Super Bowl. So unfortunately, he's grieving that. I don't feel too unfortunate because he's never been very kind to me as a Lions fan. So not too sad. But Maddie, how are you doing today?
I mean, I'm a Yankees fan. They always win, so I don't
Yeah,
know too much about
probably
baseball. No grieving for me.
Yankees, Lakers, Cowboys, those fans that just take all the winning teams and call it a day. Yeah, you grew up in New Jersey though, so you grew up in that area.
I just thought we were talking about baseball, so I thought I would bring out a baseball team that I know about.
Mm.
I
Well, we're
actually
talking about
woke up at the
football this
crack of
time.
dawn so that I could watch RSL in
Yeah,
preseason this morning.
well, you might have been one of the only ones. So RSL did take on Brøndby today in a preseason match in the Atlantic Cup. They had a successful matchup against Wanderers. Is that how you say their name?
Are we talking about last Thursday's match or this morning?
Last Thursday match. Just recapping the Atlantic Cup.
Yeah,
First one first.
Ronders.
Wanderers. So they had a preseason match against Wanderers, and then today they also took on Brøndby. They have another preseason match. It was Friday, correct, against FC Dallas. So they take on their last match in the Atlantic Cup, and then they will come back home, not home as in Utah, just back to the States. It'll end their Portugal preseason trip, which in all counts has been a very successful preseason, much more successful than the last time we were out there at the Atlantic Cup, just in terms of wins and losses, which, preseason, you never put too much stock into the actual result. But when I watched the matchup against Brøndby, or not against Brøndby, excuse me, against Wanderers, I was very happy. So let's just get into a little bit of this lineup that we're seeing. Before we go into the preseason, there's been a lot of different RSL moves. Maddie's been preaching patience. Patience is a virtue that not very many, including myself, have. And it looks to have started to pay off. So RSL ownership, splashing around money. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go into some RSL depth and really just go over some of the team. Now, this is obviously not official. This is me putting it together as best as I possibly can. So don't necessarily think that it's perfect to a T, but that's just what we're going to go over a little bit today. So RSL, let's just go over the new players first. Go Vogie. I got that close. We were listening to it before, and I still think I messed it up. Maddie, you're the professional on names. You go ahead and say it. Guy Okay, we can do that. So Morgan Guy comes from us from League One team. What was it? Rennes?
Lens. So it's really
Lens.
weird. First of all, we
Lens,
should say
not
that
Rennes.
this has
Lens.
been announced by Tom Bogert as the deal is close to being finalized. Hasn't been made official. This is a weird transfer that I have not wrapped my head around yet, and honestly probably won't be able to get the full answer until I'm boots on the ground. So this player was a Lens player who went on loan to St. Pauli in Germany in the Bundesliga, led the team in the Bundesliga in goals with 6, also had 2 assists. St. Pauli tried to trigger the purchase option that we all know, because we've said it a billion times, is included in every loan deal, and Lens vetoed it, which I didn't know that you could do that, but apparently they could, because they did. They pulled him back, he scored a goal, and they promptly sold him to us. So I don't know if that becomes final. I would love to know how you are able to veto a trigger option that's in an existing deal, but that's what happened. He comes to us. There have been a lot of people wringing their hands because obviously it didn't work out for him in France. And all I've said is he led a Bundesliga team in goals. That sounds pretty good to me. If the deal comes through, I'm certainly cautiously optimistic. We got a 27-year-old player who's 6'2". He's got good size on him. Let's see what he can do with Victor.
This is one where it's cautiously optimistic. And I think some of the, I don't know if it's just not trust right now because we've seen some of the last couple of players, and it's like unless they're scoring 15 goals a season, it's going to be really hard for us just to blindly trust when the last two DPs just haven't worked out. So I think that's what kind of leads into a lot of this is it's kind of like a prove it thing for the front office to say, okay, let's bring in some good players. Now, Maddie, the last time we've been talking about the offseason, we've really been focusing on ownership being the number one key, right? You have to be able to spend money for the front office to be able to then do their job, and for the front office to then do their job. Then it's on the coaching and the players and everything like that. So ownership, I think we should get this out of the way. They've done their job. They've spent $9 million so far in this offseason alone. So this offseason, I mean, assuming when we say everything here, we're assuming that things are finalizing and that they will finalize. Keep in mind, everything that we talk about could obviously not go through. But I have some of the winter signings down here. So we have Spearings, which is official. The midfielder that comes from the team that we played in preseason match day, Brøndby, comes to us as really should be that Ojeda replacement. It's kind of hard because that the double pivot, we don't know exactly who's going to play. I think that any of the four that I have listed here could start any given game. And we'll have to see how Spearings does, but it was reported that that was for around $3 million. So, I mean, a lot of money there. It does come from a David Blitzer club. So I'm not really sure how that works, if it's just money moving from one pocket to another, but the same ownership. But Spearings does come to RSL. It doesn't sound like it's a DP. It wasn't announced as a DP or anything like that. So we should still be able to keep that other DP spot open. Engel, who's been playing very well, I might add, in preseason, was about 1.1 million, roughly, if you're translating euros to American dollars. And then also, I'm not including GAM in any of these lists, by the way, because that's when it kind of gets like, okay, is that real money, monopoly money? How does that actually work? I'm going off just the cash that we are actually spending. And then Guila Vogi, I think that was better.
Gila Vogi.
That's going to take me a while. Morgan comes for us for a reported around 5 million. Again, that one's the only one out of these three that's not official. That adds up to 9.1 million spent. They spent about 2.8 million. I would assume they paid something for the cruise loan as well. However, that's not something that was reported at all anywhere, as loans rarely are. And as you can see, I also don't have the Booth loan on this incoming players list from the winter, just because I'm trying to do only the ones that we can actually find the fees. So it should be slightly more than this. About $12 million have been spent in 2 windows from the new ownership group, which I do think is a good commitment. Is it something where it's like, oh, that's going to be league changing? Not yet. But this is something where you look at this roster, and I'm seeing something that I really like, where we have Marchuk, who's been playing, absolutely fantastic. Maddie, you watched today's game. How was he today? I thought he played great against Wanderers last preseason game.
Why don't we go chronological and talk about that game, and then we'll talk about this game.
Okay.
But in Thursday's game, both matches were 2-1 wins for RSL. Thursday's game, Marchuk scored the first goal of the preseason for RSL. Took a ball from, it was either Luna to Noel to Dom or Noel to Luna to Dom, I forget. But he took it on the right side. You and I were texting through the match, and literally we both thought he took it too far wide and missed his shot because he didn't shoot first time with his right.
Yeah.
Cuts back onto his left, created a little bit of space. He looked like a basketball point guard and lashed it inside the near post. Yeah, I learned how to say that basketball point guard thing today.
That was really impressive. I'm proud of you there.
A little bit.
Yeah, that was good.
Then in honestly, the thing I liked about that game the most was they came out flying in the second half, and Tyler Wolf got the easiest goal he's ever going to score in his life. He was just running to the back post. Ball came right to him. He taps it in. The ball came to him. We need to talk about this, not only for Kelly, who asked in our Twitter feed, but everyone else who's been asking, and I've tried to answer it so many times in so many different platforms. There's a player listed in RSL's preseason as number 22 trialist. Now, his name has come out. It's Sergi Solans. I hope I'm saying that correctly. He was one of RSL's first-round draft picks from 2025. Hayden's going to hate this, but RSL paid $50K in GAM to the LA Galaxy to get that pick. They took him. Then they did what I would like to coin a phrase, draft and stashed. Allowed him to go back to college this year. He played for UCLA, had a dominant season, and now has signed a contract with RSL January 15th. He signed that deal, and he is going to be with us through 2029. There's team options for 27, 28, and 28, 29. So he looked excellent in that game, set up that second goal, which turned out to be the winner. I should note here also that a player that I'm very high on from the Monarchs last year, another draft pick, sorry, Hayden, Jesus Barea did score a goal that was called offside because it's Barea. That's what happens when he scores. They call off one of his teammates for offside. The same thing happened last year. I don't remember Nashville. Who we were playing. Was it Nashville?
Yeah.
Dominic got called offside.
Yeah.
This time it was Pablo Ruiz. But watching it, I thought he was on. I thought Ruiz timed his run perfectly. So unfortunately, Barea did pull his quadriceps, which I guess we can answer another question we've been getting a ton of, which is where is Emeka Eneli? Emeka had a knee knock in training, but will hopefully be able to play at least some minutes on Friday against Dallas. And then Griffin Dillon, who played well in that Rounders match, he pulled a quad, unfortunately, so he didn't play this morning. But all should be minor injuries. Hopefully we'll see them back on Friday.
And then if we're just answering one more question, where has Victor Olatunji been? He is joining up with the team. Also should be available Friday. It's a hope. Essentially, the team's been playing a little bit shorthanded because of injuries, and then just a lot of these, whether it's visa issues with what's the Nines? It's on the place. Tip of my tongue. The college pick that you just put out.
Yeah, Solans.
Yeah,
that's why they're not saying his name, and
right.
People are asking why don't they just say it? Look last year what happened with Lineker Rodriguez, right? Down at the Monarchs. It took 6 or 7 months to get his paperwork. If there are any irregularities, it puts the brakes on the whole thing. So RSL is just trying to do right by the player and the current administration who target people for whatever reason they feel like and decide they can't come into our country. So RSL is trying to protect the player and hopefully protect our season. But that's who the player is. And then Olatunji was his passport was being held at the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria. Not sure what that was about. We had been missing Ari Piol because he was on duty with Australia's U23s, I believe. But he obviously played this morning.
Well, and that's actually what I was going to talk about is, so we have a ton of just young 9 depth right now behind Olatunji, and it's going to be a mix-up. Jason Kreis I believe this was ESPN 700. Forgive me, KSL guys, if it was KSL's. He's gone on both of them a couple of times. I'm just mixing what he said on both of them, so I'll just give them both credit. He said this on one of theirs. He essentially said they're going to be swapping throughout the season between 2 up top or just 1 up top, kind of depending on what the formation needs. It's going to be interesting to see how that looks because Olatunji's really our only proven 9 up there. Piol, obviously very young and experienced U22 guy. We'll have to see if he can make his impact this year. He is going to be we're not going to make predictions on this episode. It's still only about 25 days out from the home or the away opener against Vancouver and MLS. But prediction time will be coming very shortly. But we've got some of these younger guys, Zambrano as well. Herzakani, who can go up there, Gozo, where one of the biggest questions and one of the reasons I'm not so sure about this transfer is what happens with Gozo. Gozo had a really solid season last year where it was like, okay, this guy, obviously everyone thought he's going to be something. Let's see what he has with a full year with Luna, Olatunji, and then hopefully another DP. And now we have it, but he likes to play right in Gozo's spot. And so I'm curious to see where we end up placing Gozo. Because if you look at the sheet that I have here, I just don't know how we incorporate him unless we maybe we could move Luna down to one of just the pivot spots and hope that the defense behind him is good and he can play more of a diamond like Maddie would love so much. I've thought of maybe having Gozo play that right wing back spot every now and then having Morgan play the right wing spot. But in both games, Marchuk has been the biggest standout player to me so far. He's been absolutely fantastic. He looks at home in this position. He looks extremely confident as well. That goal that Maddie talked about where it I thought he messed it up. I literally thought, okay, the opportunity's gone. And then he takes it with his left into the top or goalkeeper's left corner. Very tough goal to have that, and looked very confident doing that. That's something last year where he was rushing. I mean, maybe he's taking too much patience sometimes now, but this one I thought he did fantastic. He should have had an assist in this one, which Maddie raved on all last season, is he should have had a lot of assists. I do think once Olatunji gets here, it's going to be a world of difference. But Luna also played out of his mind in both of these games, where it's just he looks calm, he looks composed, he's placing through balls perfectly in space. Gozo, I mean, he's stretching the field really well. Booth is another player that I think has had a very good preseason. I mean, out of what we can see so far, I think Booth is going to be a player that is getting minutes, and it's almost like we have too many young wingers. Who's going to start not getting these minutes? Because Wolf, another guy who's had a good preseason, and this is against, I mean, today Brøndby, I believe they're second in the Dutch league right now. This is not a bad team. They're very comparable. Wanderers, they've been struggling a little bit in the Dutch league, but Brøndby, we took it to them as well. And the back three has worked very, very well so far. It's something where, can Yedlin go a whole season as that right center back? I'm not sure. Is that something where we need to bring in someone? And then maybe Yedlin is just veteran depth, because I don't know if you can sit Marchuk if he keeps on playing with his hair on fire like this. But that's the only, there's less questions. Katranis, I mean, if we just skip to today, had a fantastic goal. If you haven't seen it, you need to go on Twitter. It's on someone's page. I can't remember who it was. Oh, Salt City Soccer. If you go there, you'll get a beautiful ball from Sam Junker to Katranis, and he slots that through former RSL man Gavin Beaver's legs, and Gavin Beaver's not too thrilled about that one. But beautiful goal. Katranis playing really, really solid. I think that we have the showings of what I think the vision of this team could be. And it's kind of going to depend, can we piece it together? Can we keep players healthy? Can we keep players from international duty? Specifically, Diego Luna. How often can we actually have a full 11 during this first half of the season? But I think my biggest question mark, Maddie, tell me if you have any that's bigger than this, but what it's the pairing. I need a consistent pairing in the midfield with that double pivot.
I mean, for right now, I would assume that it's going to be Anelli and Steerings if they're both injured or if they're both available.
Right.
I would guess that's how it's going to start, but I've got news for you, Hato, and I don't mean to upset you. There's more signings coming.
Oh, that doesn't upset me at all. In fact, I would assume, so I put this out. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's going to be depth and extreme competition at almost every position, which should be the goal. At this point, I don't know who you could sign that would make me think that Rafa's not our keeper and Victor's not our forward and Luna's not our 10. But other than that, I think Jay Glad's going to be our center back. Other than that, I think everybody is going to have some pretty extreme competition for their spot.
I would be pretty surprised if we don't bring in another left back / left wing back. We've been in so many rumors for those, even very recently, where it's like, okay, RSL might be trying to hijack this deal. It's like we talked about it on the episode last time, but I think that there's going to be a left wing back, and then I would be pretty shocked if we don't bring in a center back. I think you have to bring in at least one center back, but I don't know. How did Kobe Henry play today?
Looked good. Everybody looked good today. So this morning, was it 7 o'clock Mountain, I believe? Yeah. RSL played Brøndby, another 2-1 victory. Sergi Salon's got the first goal. He very nearly had a second. Gozo put it on a plate, and he just skied it. But on the second view, when they showed it from the side angle, it looked like it hit a bump as he was swinging his foot. Still, with the goal gaping, you'd like to see him put that in for the brace. Rafa, with an uncharacteristic mistake that I hope he got that out of his system and we never see it again. I don't have the minute in front of me, but it was around 30 minutes or so. He was coming out of his box and he passed the ball directly to, what was that dude's name? He played on Atlanta, Sliz.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? And the guy, and I mean, Martuz. Fair play. Bartos. He literally took it and chipped Rafa in one motion, which was an ugly goal to give up. And then Katranis, I think he fooled Beavers with how hard he struck that ball. I think
One
Beavers
time
thought
too.
I thought he was going to go one side or the other, and he put it right between the wickets before Beavers could react. And man, he reacted afterwards. He was disappointed with himself, but he made a real good save on Marchuk early in about the 20th minute or so. Marchuk did the exact same thing he did on Thursday, and I thought he got a second goal, but Beavers got to it. So also Kaliskin hit the post. Kaliskin hit a shot that took a heavy deflection. The deflection took it past Beavers, but then it just kind of dinked off the post and came back to Gav.
Did Kaliskin get a heavy beating today? Because he sure did against Wanderers. He was getting it the entire.
Dude, they were kicking the heck out of him.
He
on
was
Thursday.
Down
I was like,
a lot. Yeah.
Like,
for
what did he ever do to these guys? I'll tell you who was impressive today was Ari Piol, man.
Yeah. Okay.
They basically did. So when the second half started, they took out Jay Glad, who I want to get back to in a second. They took out Jay, and Kobe Henry started in his place. And then in the 60th minute, they changed everybody else. So Max Kirkley came in and played the second. Or I'm sorry, Mason Stidehar came in and played the second half. And then Ari came in. He had a bike attempt. That probably shouldn't surprise anybody. He had another one where he made a strong run into the box. And I mean, the pass was behind him. And I've seen so many young players that would just throw up their hands. He still got a pretty strong shot away. But if the pass had been even close to where it should have been, Ari gets a goal. So yeah. he's looked strong in these two matches, the limited minutes we've seen.
Well, I mean, the hard part is it's just how good of competition are we playing? How much do we actually have? But the fact that this is coming off, I mean, the first two preseason games, it's something to instill some confidence in me when I watch these players and even just individual performances. Dominic, he didn't look this confident very often last year. He didn't play this well where defensively, he wasn't tested as much, but having a guy like Yedlin behind him, I think that's really good. And it allows him, and I mean, him, Gozo, Yedlin, all on that right side, it's really nasty. And Anelli, Luna being able to help those three, I should say, piece it together. Olatunji is going to be able to get a lot of opportunities. And then, of course, you got Katranis, who's coming up on the other side, where if you swing the ball over to him, he's dangerous with the shot as well. So far, I mean, Engel, we haven't even talked about him. I haven't had anything to say against him other than he looks just like Eric Holt, which isn't a bad thing. I think Stockton got a little bit triggered when he got on the field and said, "Oh, wait a second, what's going on there?" But I think Engel's been playing very well so far, and it's all to say that preseason it's really hard to put too much stock into it. But the players that were on the roster last year look to have confidence, and being this early in the season, we have a very, very young team. I think that we will still have the youngest team in the league, which is why I like the signings that we've made, where they're all veterans. We have not signed, I mean, Booth and Cowell, obviously young Cowell more for the Monarchs, Booth for this team. But the actual players that will come in and be day one starters, or at least competing to be a day one starter, they're older. Spearings, Engel, and Gulavogi, all older. I'm just going to call him Morgan for now on. Morgan is older as well. So not old to say. I mean, I believe Spearings is the oldest. He's turning 30 in March, I believe. And then Morgan's turning 28, and I think Engel is 27, if I'm just going off the top of my dome there. So I don't actually know if that's accurate. I'm looking at our spreadsheet here. But this team has a lot of flexibility right now. We still have a DP spot. We still have a U22 spot. Again, this is assuming that Diogo and Cruz are officially announced sometime in the future. That would be cool. We're going off a lot of assumptions that things actually get through, but until RSL starts changing what they're saying on these ESPN 700 KSL, I'm going to assume that's the plan and they're happening, which is that Diogo and Cruz are both gone. Cruz has been announced. Their holdup is very strange. I have never seen a team announce someone and it just not go through for this long. It's been almost 2 weeks, I believe, at this point. So hopefully we can get him off our books soon. And then Diogo just needs to be sold. He hasn't been with the team with preseason. So we'll have to see there. But again, an open U22 spot, an open DP spot. And I don't know where we would legitimately use those right now. Like that's kind of the good thing. It's a blessing and a curse where it's like, well, how could you make this roster better? But it's you don't want to take over the young guys like Gozo, which we kind of did. And I think our midfield is looking good. And I don't believe in using a DP as a center back. I could see us bringing in a young U22 as a center back. That would be cool. But I don't believe that spot being used as a DP is the most effective. So as long as Olatunji can produce as that 9, it's a very, very massive thing to have a 9 that's not a DP if they can produce. So we'll have to see. But Maddie, I mean, I think you're probably pretty confident on this roster right now.
I am. Another good problem that we have is that everyone keeps telling me that Gozo can play anywhere along the front line.
Yeah.
For those of us who watched the U20 World Cup in Chile last year, I still and they played him as a forward. I still don't love him there. I love him as a winger. I think his speed induces panic attacks in the other defenders. And I am and have been and probably until I die will always want a speed demon on one flank or the other.
Especially with Dominic giving them the balls. Like with him, when those two were pairing, you were just seeing the speed demon. And my biggest thing was our right side is almost too stacked, where our left side, it was like, what's going on there? Because Luna's not a speed demon, but Luna's not the left winger. He's everywhere on the pitch. He's not just going to sit there. So
just
I'm like,
remember how much more dangerous RSL immediately became when Robbie Finley signed. You put speed on one wing or the other. You know, people dogged him in South Africa. There's a reason he played. Okay, at that World Cup, was it 2010? The other thing I'll say, and not to pat myself on the back, last year when we were playing that weird 4 when we defend, 3 when we attack, Katranis gets up on the left. I clearly remember, and maybe one day I will go through all my videos and find it, asking Pablo after training one day if there was a way to put Dominic on the right side and have him do on the right what Katranis was doing on the left on days when Junka started over there, whether that would be matchup related or whatever. And Pablo was just kind of like, nah. Now we're seeing it. Okay. I was saying same system, flip sides. 5 at the back or 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. We see how effective Dominic can be, and he looks a different player. This is the player that I kept saying I see the potential. And when people were writing him off and saying, "Oh, let him stay in Cincinnati," I was like, no, bring him back. I want to see him with Olatunji. But let's not sleep on Marco Zambrano. Okay,
I was just going to bring it up when you said Gozo in Chile. Exactly. Zambrano, also a guy where I'm just like, Gozo and Herzakani maybe a year out, but Zambrano, when we have all these young options as the backup to Olatunji, we don't have, I mean, people often like just to point to Anderson Julio as like that elite backup 9 almost, where it's like, hey, you can bring this guy off the bench. I don't think we necessarily need that with Olatunji, but we need another option because a lot of these guys coming off the bench, we're going to have just a lot of young guys. So who's going to be able to take over that middle and control it? I do kind of like Gozo being that, like just watching him against Wanderers. I've never seen a preseason friendly where the guy was such a jerk. Like Gozo is the nicest guy, sweet guy. And then he's just so rude to these guys. I'm like, they're these Dutch players that like, I don't even know if they speak English and you're over there getting in their face over everything. I'm like, that's what I want though. That is something where I think, yes, exactly. We need those kind of players. I think Luna has that where he's really starting to take on that control. Katranis, he had the captain's armband today in the second half. Something very big where we need those players to be able to be vocal and take over the middle, especially in those top attacking players. I want my attacking players to not be very friendly. I want them to be rude guys when they're on the field. And I think that we're starting to see that with Gozo. And I think Luna's already been that, but it's time to see. My biggest question for not the front office now, because I do think we have a team where it's like, okay, we can see what this team can do. We'll have to see how Morgan and the other signings do, because ownership has put their pockets out. They now front office, they've started to sign their guys. There might be a couple more signings like Maddie has suggested. So now it's, can these players actually work together? In the past, 10 years, how many MLS teams win a cup without a player that has 25 goals and assists combined? You need to have that guy. Team is the star is great, but you need to have that guy. RSL, I mean, in their greatest in the last 5 to 6 years, it's when we had that guy and then we had another that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Luna needs to be able to take that step with, is it Olatunji? Is it Gozo? Is it Morgan? Is it all of them that they elevate each other? But someone needs to stand out and be the game changer. And I think that we've seen a lot of Jason Christ's comments in ESPN 700 KSL saying we need Luna to have better players around him so that he can take his next development. He's a very raw player still. He obviously credits him for being able to progress as fast as he has, but he does admit that he's still very raw and that he needs better players. And I do think that the goal is being able to surround him with as many good players as possible. So I don't know if this team's an MLS championship team. I do think we are an Atlantic Cup championship team. So that's cool. Good way to start some preseason silverware, I guess. But I do like what I'm seeing so far. I am getting more optimistic as this offseason rolls on. Whereas even 2 weeks ago, before these games started, it was a lot of question marks. It's been solved a decent amount. It's the midfield. We need to have a dominant midfield. So whichever pairing it is, lock in, and hopefully those can be the guys. But other than that, I feel pretty good about this attack.
I think that we have those two guys in Luna and Olatunji. And I'll say right now, because I've said in semi-public platforms, I think Olatunji can challenge for the Golden Boot this year. I am so high on that player and his scoring ability. Someone we haven't talked about yet today, but I said I wanted to get back to Jay Glad.
Yep.
Justin Glad is now RSL's longest tenured player. Somehow at 28, this is his 12th season with RSL. Trails only Ramondo and Beckerman for appearances for RSL. Did you know that the Designated Players podcast, which is an excellent league-wide podcast, and I will be joining them on February 3rd to preview our season, did a statistical review of 2025. It was one of their most recent episodes, if not their most recent. But please go listen to it, because my friend of the podcast, Andrew, went and statistically analyzed every player in the league by position and picked the statistical best goalie, the statistical best forward, midfielder, left back, right back, etc. Justin Glad was not one of the number 1 or number 2 statistical best center backs in the league. Hayden, do you know where he finished?
No clue.
Third. He was the third best center back in the entire league. I really did set the table for you there.
Yeah.
Third best center back in the entire league. And I just would love it if our fan base appreciated what he brings. I feel like he's been there so long. He's like part of the furniture. Jay Glad's a beast. And I think he's going to have an awesome year. And I think he's going to be back in the All-Star game. I'll just say that.
I mean, being back in the All-Star game would be huge. I think also having consistency across the 3 center backs. We need to also have, again, I mean, I've said this already on the podcast, consistency in that midfield so they know who's in front of them. Kaliskin was seeing a lot of minutes because of his communication. So whoever's there, communication is absolutely key. Bottom line is our defense wasn't very good last season, and he was one of the 2 center backs. So we'll have to see how that defense improves. But again, so far, I am liking it more. Cabral, I think, is still going to have a top 5 goalie season in MLS. I think goalie is actually one of the more underrated positions in this league, where we have a lot of very good goalies in this league, I feel like. But I think Cabral is going to be up there as one of the tops. Engel had a very, very good season last season. But it's putting 3 guys that haven't played a lot of minutes together. Vera, I mean, him and Glad put up quite a bit of minutes right next to each other. And then we move Vera to Montreal and we move Ojeda. So we moved 2 of those guys that Glad has been playing quite a bit with, one in front of him and one to the left of him. So we'll have to see what that does with them. However, I do think having 2 extra center backs right next to him can only help. I also think this was brought up where we were the worst team at set pieces last year, specifically corners. Defensively, we gave up the most goals. We also scored the least goals. So we were absolutely horrific. I think that a lot of these moves are with that in mind. Spearings, very tall guy, very good in the air. That's one of the things where you read up on him and you can't see too much of what he does because he's in the Dutch league. and it's or no, Denmark. What league's
Stein,
Brøndby in again?
Stein and they're in the Danish Superliga.
Danish, yeah.
Stein and Morgan are both 6'2".
Right. I was about to say Morgan. That's like when you go and look at what his characteristics or skills are or whatever. What jumps out is very good aerial ability. So I think being able to be that guy on set pieces in the middle of the box with Olatunji creating havoc, very good. Quite a bit better than pretty small Luna or Gozo in there with Olatunji, and then defensively as well. I think just having those guys with Engel, Glad, Yedlin, being able to hopefully control those set pieces a lot, because last season it felt like that was our doom. We'd play really well for a long time in the run of play, and then they'd get a dumb foul, and it was like, okay, this dumb foul from 30 yards outside is going to be the death of us because we can't defend set pieces. And so I think that's going to be one of the focal points. One of the good things is both goals against us did come from the run of play, so I do like that at least. I mean, if we're going to give up goals, I'm glad that they're not coming on set pieces. So we're defending those well enough right now.
I'll put something else in there while we're talking about set pieces. One of the moves that Jason Kreis spoke about on Spence Checkett's show was the Miller Group adding infrastructure to this team. And one of the positions he specifically mentioned was adding another video analyst. And Pablo talked about that at the press conference last Thursday night or Friday morning, I think it was here.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was right. It was Thursday. And said that they divided the group into two, and they had each group in a separate room with a separate video analyst. I think having that is going to help a lot with defending these set pieces as we figure out what teams like to do. The Galaxy have that one goofy one where they send a player down the line. After it looks like he's going to shoot, he starts going back towards his own goal. And then someone comes in from the side and takes it real quick. We're not going to get caught with our pants down in our final preseason match, which is against the Galaxy, February 13th. I just knew that off the top of my head.
Speaking of infrastructure, let's change the subject a little bit. We talked about our players in the preseason quite a bit. RSL adding 2,000 seats to the north end. It'll be kind of interesting to see how that looks. This was reported by the Deseret News. I'm blanking on her name. She does fantastic work with really the Royals, but also RSL here. I'm pulling her up right on my Twitter here because I want to give her credit. Kryson Edler at Edler_Kryson. That's Krysyan. She had a really good article, not just about obviously RSL and the Royals, but about all of the professional teams in Utah right now, including apparently we have a professional volleyball team, men's volleyball. Didn't know that. So if you're just kind of curious about what's going on with professional sports, I'd highly recommend this article. It does go quite a bit into, again, Jason Kreis. We've talked about him a lot. He's the spokesperson of RSL as of right now. It's been Kurt Schmidt in the past. It really seems like it's Jason Kreis at this moment, where he is the one that I'm hearing the most from in articles or just on radio shows. And he stated that the goal for this season is not playoffs. It is to advance. They need that's going to be the expectation. And if they don't do that, it's not going to be looked at as, a successful season. He talked about how in the past they've made the playoffs. That's great. But he very much emphasized this year they do need to make they do need to move on from just that first round, and they do need to win playoff games. I do think that's encouraging. It's something where someone very high up, I mean, in the organization is stating, hey, what we've seen, it's fine. You're making the playoffs, but this isn't enough. We need to start making further progression into the offseason. So I did really like that from Kreis, but I thought another interesting point was the 2,000 extra seats. I mean, it was talked about how this was introduced because of Lionel Messi coming in. That is in April, but it will be there the entire season. So it's something that will be there the entire season, was brought on by that. However, they're making renovations to the stadium, just kind of in general. They're making renovations to the west side premium seats as well. Nothing that should influence most people, unless you're the corporate people that sit in those very fancy deluxe seats, which are very fun to go get some good eats there. But yeah, more seats coming to the north end.
They're also moving a lot of staff out. Their offices will be moved out of the stadium so that they can put more seats wherever those are. That might be the premium seats you're talking about. I really struggle with north, south, east, west if I don't have an ocean to use for reference. If I can't smell where the ocean is, like I grew up in Jersey, you can always smell it and know that it's there or it's there. Without that, I'm just like, I don't know, man. Can we just say right and left?
So RSL's is the easiest one though, because the big mountains, like the big ones, that's east. That's always east. So no matter where you are in Utah, you're always in a bowl, right? As long as you're in, Salt Lake or Utah Valley, the big mountains east, the small mountains west.
Thank you for that.
So as long as you know which mountains are which, you'll always know. I grew up in South Utah County, so for me, I just knew Salt Lake was north, anything else is south, and big ass mountains are east. So small mountains west.
So Biggie's in the east.
Yep.
Like Biggie Smalls, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes perfect sense, because everyone is always like, oh, well, the Wasatch Range is over here. And I'm like, hey, guys, like, I'm not from here. Those mountains don't have a sign above them saying what they are that I can read.
Even to me, like, I know Timpanogos, and that's pretty much it. I'm like, that's the big one. The other ones, I'm just like, it's really bad, because I've been traveling quite a bit for work, and I'll go and be talking to these contractors. I work in home improvement, and they'll tell me just directions, and I look like an idiot, because I'm just like, listen, we are, I mean, when I went to New Jersey, I was in trouble, because I was like, we don't have mountains. I don't know what direction I am facing currently. As long as I am in the mountains, it feels very safe to me, because I know for a fact which way is which. Just big mountains east, small mountains west.
Then we have to talk about two more things before we sign out here. Number one, we got to talk about that survey, man. RSL sent out a survey and sent the nation into an uproar. Fans, I would love to know how you feel about the potential of a rebrand or a name change, because that seems to be the only thing they care about. All of the questions were about that.
And I don't even care about your opinions on that. I just need to know if we should ever let whoever designed that survey do another survey, because that thing took more than 15 minutes and they asked so many similar questions. And when I got to the theme night questions, I was about losing it. I was just like, hey, let's wrap. I texted Brady, who's done several surveys. He's not really doing them anymore, so I feel okay saying his name. And
Friend
I was like,
of the
podcast. Did you do this one? Yes, Brady's been on several times. And I was like, did you do this survey? And he's like, no, I don't really do the surveys anymore. I was like, good, because this one enraged me. I hope that they get some valuable things from it. But there were several people that were like commenting on Twitter and stuff saying like, I wanted to fill that survey out. I just couldn't make it through, but I don't want the name change. And I was like, okay, but they're not looking for your comment on Twitter. They do need you to fill out this 15 to 20 minute survey. So go finish it.
It's kind of like The Irishman. I sat through the whole thing and I feel like I deserve a medal.
Yeah.
I would just say that for me, please don't change the name of the team. Yeah. I know that it's silly. I almost got in a fist fight at MLS Cup final in Miami because I was talking to, they make the MLS Cup final at 3:30 in the afternoon. So, of course, I'm trying to keep track of the Liverpool match. I see another fan wearing Liverpool colors. I go over and talk to him. He can see my tattoo. We're jabberjawing. He's wearing a DC United cap. Next thing you know, some other clown friend of his comes over with the DC United cap, sees my RSL jersey, starts giving me crap about the name of my team. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, DC United, that very American name you have that's not affiliated with any European teams.
When people from Europe or people that don't watch soccer in general do it, it doesn't suck as bad. But when other MLS fans do it, I'm like, shut up. Your team's the dumbest team too. You guys are just United SC, United FC. City. Like, it's all dumb. The only teams
and the logo's a bird.
The only teams with like unique names: Seattle Sounders, Colorado Rapids, LA Galaxy, Houston Dynamo, San Jose Earthquakes, like some of the originals or some of the older clubs.
Timbers is great.
Like there are, I mean, yeah, that's
this guy literally would not leave me alone.
Yeah.
I now know what it is to be mansplained to, because this guy would not stop. And I was like, dude, there's a billion articles. Take your little flip phone out of your pocket and type in www.google.com, hit enter, and then ask it the question. Get out of my face. Yeah, and I walked away from him. Yeah. And then his buddy came over to apologize for him. We started talking about Liverpool again. Dude comes back. You'll have to, if we ever get Steve on the podcast, the guy I go to MLS Cup with every year, you'll have to ask him. Because I was like 9 out of 10. I was like, dude, get away from me. Just walk away.
I don't have a problem.
I love that our name is original. It's one of the only original names in the league. Please don't change it. Please, for the love of all things holy, if you have to do something and you want to change the crest, please, and I did put this in my survey, hire Matthew Wolf. Do it right the first time instead of cheaping out on some other graphic artist and then having to go back and change it a year later. Looking at you, Chicago.
If they want to do a brand update, I'm okay with an update or a refresh of just kind of like maybe we change it slightly, but not the name. Stay away from the name. And the biggest thing here is if you're a non-soccer fan and you hate the name because it sounds dumb to you, that's fine. I'm like, okay, you just don't get it. You're not going to like most teams' names. I'm okay with that. And then the other thing is it does have a cool story. We played Real Madrid in our first game, and they gave us the blessing to use it. They called us their sister club. It does have an actual cool story where it's like, hey, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to have a monarchy name here in Salt Lake, but our owner at the time really liked Real Madrid. We got their blessing. David Beckham had a shovel in Sandy, Utah. That's a cool thing. It is a cool thing to look back on in our history. And so it's like, yeah, it's our name. Deal with it. It's been our name for 21 years. If they change the name, I'd be furious. Now, if you want to go and change, they asked a bunch of things about the Royals, and I'm like, okay, they've had some weird things. Whatever you need to do to get fans into them, if a name change is what you need to do it. Stockton's going to be the one that's probably pissed off about that. I just don't want RSL. And so that survey, oh, you got my blood boiling just thinking about it, because it was 15 minutes of the same thing. And then they throw in just a theme night question. And then the one that was the most absurd is what needs to happen for you to be more involved in the team? And all of the answers were around changing the team, brand, name, anything except for 3. Win MLS Cups, sign expensive players, I'm like, okay, so basically you're going to have everyone choose 3 answers on this one, and you're just going to throw this question out because it doesn't align. The questions are too, like, you put 3 that are very obviously connected, and then the rest of them where I'm just like, I don't get it. So overall, I mean, I really wish they separated the survey from the Royals as well, because asking so many questions about, do you know the Utah Royals are a professional sports team? I was like, yes, I think that's why I'm filling out this 15-minute survey. I think I would understand. I don't think anybody that doesn't understand that is going to see a survey from Miller ownership and go, yeah, I'm going to fill this out. I'm going to take 15 minutes out of my day. People have that, but
also they already took the Grizzlies out. They're pretending the Grizzlies don't even exist already. I kept writing it in. Like, I've also heard of the Grizzlies. They're still there.
Yeah.
Hope is not dead.
For a couple more months, they still will survive. And then they're going to your stomping grounds, going to New Jersey. So,
well, they're going to Trenton, which is, it's all a bunch of Flyers fans. Yeah, I went to a Kelly Cup final match there, and people were throwing beer at my 12-year-old nephew. So, not a place that I'll ever go. Sorry, I love the Grizzlies, but I'm not going to go to the Trenton Stadium again.
Well, I don't think too many people will blame you for that. I do think that there's always the F. Oh, it's Professor Helix. I've always looked at our graphic designer's Ewan's username, and I've always been like Pro F Helix, and I just realized it's short for Professor. That's me being really slow, because she's been with us absolutely killing it on a graphics level. Like, any of the graphics you see being made are her. Shout out to her. She's been running our Twitter, our Instagram, pretty much everything. And I don't even have the login to Twitter anymore because I didn't care to handle it. She's the only reason it's keeping on going. So fantastic. But she says that the theory is because we have jerseys that look like Barcelona and then the Real Madrid name, which, kind of a fair point. Our jerseys do seem to take on a Barcelona shape, but it has the mountains designs, so I love them and I don't care.
I don't think we can talk about that yet. There's been the leak jersey, which is not correct, and the one that you and I have seen, which looks spectacular, and you will see it soon. But I'll also say that among her many, many myriad of talents, Ewan's also an excellent person to sit next to and watch a Royals match. I had a great amount of fun just chatting footy with her last year. So shout out to Ewan. She's one of my favorites.
Shout out to admin back here. I mean, absolutely. David is allegedly our producer. we'll probably need to put out another tweet that just shows what the roles are. He's allegedly our producer, but we haven't recorded enough for him to actually do much, which is on me. I haven't taught him yet. So he's not here tonight. And he made the grand mistake of not realizing that we would want to record with only 3 to 4 hours notice. So
Wow.
Can't believe he would do that. But
the other thing that we have to address, I feel like, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts around this because I know that you're a degenerate gambler. MLS today announced that in an effort to keep from having the integrity of MLS matches threatened, they're partnering with a gambling site.
this is
a predictive site, which has nothing to do with gambling, folks.
It's the most mind-boggling. So I love gambling, love doing it. However, my method is I never use my own money to do it, which is confusing that I'm not going to get into it because I hate losing money. So in the best way to say, I like gambling, but not with my own money. So keeping that aside.
So you're gambling with the dollar that you owe me is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because that's your money. So I can just grow that and it's okay. I'll never have to send it to you. Eventually I'll have $100 Maddie dollars that I'll never send to him. So Dan, before we get into this real quick, Dan said, how close is it to the leak? I don't want to go too much into it other than just saying close, but there's a very big detail that changes the entire thing, where right now that leak looks extremely basic. You will like it much more than just the leak. So how close is that to maybe the what's it called, the fake one, like the $99 one that's still way too expensive, that doesn't have the star? Probably quite a bit closer, but overall it doesn't do it justice, which those leaks never do, but it does give you an idea. But no, going back to Polymarket, anyways, degenerate gambler here. I hate what was happening to our game, to sports in general. It's so gross to me that we have, I'll just be watching a random basketball game because I'm gambling on it on FanDuel Network, and they'll be showing, they'll be showing the live spread during the game of the Cavaliers are down by 9 currently. So for everyone that bet on them to only lose by 4 is keeping a great understanding of where it is. And it's gotten to the point where it is shoved in everyone's face. And there are so many people with legitimate gambling issues where this is not a joke. It is something that absolutely destroys lives, destroys families. And so a league partnering with it just because everything is partnering with the predictions market, it doesn't have that name where it's oh, this is gambling. It's still gross. I really don't enjoy the idea of the league saying we're going to promote this, but also this isn't the first time they've done this in a live. If you watch any of the Apple games last year, they're showing the live odds presented. I think they go through DraftKings or whatever their name is. And so it's you have the live odds always being presented. And I think it's just something where in sports, we need to be able to take a step away from and just say, look, I think gambling should be legal. I do think that it should be available. I do not think that it should be as publicly put out there as this, because if you have MLS presented by, cigarette company, it's not going to work. If you have MLS presented by this, so it's just, it's an unhealthy addiction for a lot of people. So it's frustrating.
I think that there's a reason that in baseball, it's okay if you do cocaine, meth, beat your wife, drive drunk, run over a nun. But if you gamble, you can never get into the Hall of Fame. And the reason for that is integrity. The integrity of the game is directly attacked. If you don't know, what happens when you gamble is you end up in business with the kind of people who will break your legs if you don't pay them. Okay? I'm not trying to make this like The Godfather Part 2, but watch The Sopranos and you will see how gamblers are brought into a room where they have no business being. They're identified, made to lose all their money, and then they take everything they own. Now do that to, what was the NBA referee's name? Tim Donaghy or something like that.
Great piece, great show on him. But the biggest thing for me,
look at Coot, the referee from the Prem. All that would have to happen is some low tier MLS guy right? Making $70K, which, sounds great to me, but someone who might be living a little bit beyond their means, they get their hooks in.
We've already had it. There was a Sporting Kansas City player. It was 3 or 4 years ago. He got suspended for 2 years. If your players get suspended for doing something that you are actively promoting, you should not be able to promote it. That is my rule of thumb. A player can drink. Now, would they? No, probably not smart. Unhealthy for an athlete to be getting drunk on beer. So it's like, okay, beer, one thing. But if you have an athlete, if
Georgie Best is laughing at you right now.
If Diego Luna cannot go and use Polymarket, then you should not be able to use Polymarket as a promotion tool. That is my biggest thing. Don't promote something where you would actively suspend your players for using something.
Here's my concern. Okay. My understanding of these, Polymarket or what's the other one? Kalshi, whatever it is.
Kalshi and Polymarket are the two big prediction markets.
So the way that I found out about this was reading an article about a press conference, and Kalshi said the line is 54 minutes or whatever the number was. I forget. Like it's going to go, you had to pick, it's going to go under 54 minutes or over 54 minutes. Everybody picked the under. During the press conference, a few people picked the over for big money. And at 53:59, the woman at the podium said, okay, that's it. Thanks. Goodbye.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about who was involved or anything like that. It's not that kind of show. But what if that was the referee? Okay. What if that was the linesman or the VAR who's deciding whether a goal is onside or off in injury time, or whether a game's a penalty? I mean, the ease with which it can affect matches makes me very uncomfortable. So I'll just say I don't love it.
Yeah. We're always going to have gambling in professional sports. That's always going to be a thing. I just don't believe that MLS should be partnering with that platform and actively advertising to its fans, hey, if you gamble using code MLS, you'll get a deposit match, something like that, where it's like, it's not, my biggest thing is.
Next thing you know, that's the way you get a free Luna jersey after the game. And it's like, come on, man,
exactly.
What are we doing?
If someone if a ref wants to throw a game right now, he absolutely can, and he can find a way to make money. So Polymarket's not necessarily changing that to me. To me, it's the fact where it's like, this is a professional league and you are actively influencing this too, where if they bet on MLS games, I'm assuming they have something where Polymarket will start giving them more money. And Polymarket, Kalshi's whole thing is, we're not the house. You're betting against other users essentially. So it's not real gambling because it's prediction markets. No. Do you think Polymarket and Kalshi would be doing this if they didn't get a cut? They're getting a rather large cut. So that's where it comes down to. I don't think I think you lose a lot of the integrity of the game. Like Maddie said, if players and coaches and refs wanted to throw things, they could, but it doesn't help and it doesn't improve looks when you eventually do have to suspend a player in the next year because they were caught gambling on a site. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're the dumbasses who decided to promote it. So that's on you,
I'd like to just clarify one little thing that you said, that you said a ref, he could make the decision to throw a game. It's 2026, Hayden, he or she. Okay. Or they. And I'll tell you that in the year 2049, my blood pressure is still going to go up every time somebody mentions Tori Penso to me. And I'm still going to talk about, what's that clown's name? Zaha grabbing a necky by the throat and throwing him on the ground and not getting red carded. And in fact, only getting a yellow because he refused to stand there and take a tongue lashing from Miss Penso. And then Tim Ream going like this was judged not to be moving his hand towards the ball when he brought his hand towards, wait for it, the ball.
Talking about Polymarket at 8:33, 9:33 Maddie time has him thinking back to an August regular season matchup on the road against Eastern Conference foes Charlotte. That is a good place to wrap this one up. But
dude, Zaha was watching training.
Yes,
RSL's training, and
yes.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you did. I think that Maddie will always be a little bit hot towards Zaha for, great reasons here, but Maddie, I do have to wrap us up. We said we'd go to an hour. We're trying to start being better at committing to our time.
Because that's what you bet. That's what you predicted on Polymarket?
It is. I have to get out of here. We got to go. They're betting. Listen, we have people betting on us right now, and I make $3. and I can send you one of them. Maybe, probably not.
You
But thank you so much for listening, RSL fans. We appreciate every time you do listen. We love when you come into the comments on our YouTube. It makes a lot of the difference. I hope that we'll get better production value here when we get David in here more often, because I get sidetracked when I'm doing all of that, and Maddie can definitely tell. We should be coming back to you next week on the 2nd. We're going to be trying to come to you more regularly as the season is picking up. Hopefully we will have the guy that designs the jerseys to answer all your questions. We won't name him just in case. I mean, if you go back and look at any of our previous seasons, you'll know exactly who we're talking about, because he's been on the episodes every single year right before the jerseys release. And we want him on very soon, which, hint, jerseys coming very soon. Hopefully another hint, there's an S in that sentence. So we'll be able to see some fun things with RSL coming up. RSL preseason continues with this Friday. We won't be able to see this one. It is not live streamed, unfortunately. I do want to actually thank RSL real quick. I've complained every single preseason when matches are not. I have not thanked them for actually getting them, and the quality has been surprisingly very, very good. So thank you to whoever has made it work, whether it's the Atlantic Cup people, whether it's RSL or Brownme or Wanderers, whoever it's been that's been able to get us to watch this team. I am a sicko, and I love watching them. Not as sicko to be able to watch them at 7 a.m. I did have a meeting, unfortunately. But yeah, Maddie, take us out here.
If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend, especially on YouTube. We would really appreciate it. I've got a Substack pinned on my Twitter. If you subscribe to that, you will get all of my work there for free. I know there's a way that you can charge. I'm never, ever going to do that. But I have been given to understand that more subscriptions would help my path to get towards a bigger platform. So please and thank you. We love you all. Thank you for listening. And please be safe out there. Take care of each other.
Before we end this, just going off Maddie's thing, we have a very important tournament. Don't know if you've heard of it, but I would wager that one of our friends here of this podcast might try to go to that as credentialed. Anything we can do to help. He's not told me anything about this, so that friend doesn't have to say if he will or will not. But for him to have the opportunity, anything helps. The Substack's actually amazing. Maddie, you do a fantastic job with your writing. We're going to be hopefully getting that more on an established news site, hopefully pretty soon here again. But in the meantime, the Substack's been absolutely amazing. If you want anything Maddie related, go and read those. He does have a lot of great inside information. But yes, thank you all so much for listening. We will talk to you next week. Go Real Salt Lake.